How long did you date before you got married? Or even engaged, I guess, too?
Well, our first date was on Friday the 13th.
Of which month?
In October. Wasn't that right? I think it was in October.
Probably so.
And let's see. I hadn't graduated yet. So, and then the next year, I had started working for the telephone company as soon as I graduated from high school. And let's see. I graduated in 51, and I was going with you. And we got married in 1952 in April the 20th. Did you have another question in there? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And let's see, what do you remember most about your wedding day? What day of the week did you get married?
Sunday.
It was a big wedding. It was a country church, evangelical free, outside of Meriden. And I went to church in Cherokee, and I said, well, we'll get married at your church, evangelical free, and then we'll go to the Christian church, because we were located in Cherokee, Iowa at that time. But there was probably about 500 that was present. I had thought oftentimes that there were a lot of freeloaders there, and I didn't know why they came, but the place was packed, and my brothers, that was the last time that our family ever all got together. After that, somebody was always busy, or otherwise they were someplace else. But all of us kids, the 7 of us, were together with our wives, and we had a great time.
And your mom was there?
Yes, mm-hmm. Yeah, she was there, and we started, I think, at maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
3.
And it was then we had the reception, and it was probably maybe 6 or 7 o'clock that night. We didn't have any money to speak of. We went to Madison, Wisconsin, where my brother lives, and we stayed there for a couple to 3 days. And when we came back, I think we had $35. And I'm not sure whether we had paid the rent, but our rent was probably about $35 too. So we lived off a card table for a long, long time, and orange crates, but we made do, and so it was okie doke, wasn't it?
We didn't know anything different, so
it worked. It worked okay.
But we were living actually in an attic that they had made into an apartment.
Oh yeah, that was hot. It was terrible hot. It had a little door about that wide and about that tall to come in to the attic, and but I laid by the door at night. It was still about 100 to 110 at nights, and
we didn't have air conditioning.
No air conditioning, nothing, and worked hard all day, and then sweat all day and sweat all night practically. But
so how long did you live up in the attic?
Oh boy,
not too awfully long, because we were married in April, May, June. I think it was in July that I really got terribly sick. And the first time I went to the doctor, he was checked my reflexes. I think he had in mind what he thought I might have, but he didn't tell us until I went back the next day, and then another day. I think I went back to him 3 times, and he said, I think you have polio. But they called it infantile paralysis at that time. And they took fluid out of my spine, which proved that I had polio.
Took her to the hospital, and she stayed there.
7 days.
And they put hot packs on her, and there was a lot of people that were in the hospital at that time with polio. Quite a few people died that never got back out again, but she's still affected, I think, some with the polio and the post-polio deal. But she got out of that, and
you were pregnant at that time too.
Uh-huh. Yeah. About the first year, I was going to trade her in and give her back, but I think she had appendicitis, she had the flu, she had polio, and then she had this child, our child, and it was
And each time I go to the hospital, the doctor would say, well, we're going to do the best that we can and save both of you. But I think you maybe had to sign something that if there was a choice between saving the baby or saving me, and thank goodness he said he wanted to save me. And the last time I went in to have the baby, the doctor said, now we're going to do all we can to save the baby and save you. And I said, I've come this long with all the illnesses I've had this year, and I said, I'll make it all the way. And he said, well, sounds like you got a lot of spunk, so let's do it. And everything came out all right. So
I had to give her the anesthetic. The doctor was alone, and he didn't have any help. So we got by, and Wanda was born, and we were pretty lucky with a lot of the health problems and some of the difficulties through life. So, but we've been blessed.
Now, at that time, you were 20 when you had
Yes.
a child, had your first child at 21?
We got married when we were 19.
Okay. Were you pretty involved with your faith, or did you have a faith
No,
in Christ?
not really. I didn't have really much to do with Christianity in high school because I was busy playing ball and I was doing this and that and the other thing. But no, Rod was. He went to church quite often. My older brother is about 2 years older than what I was.
And what church did he go to?
Pretty much the Baptist church that was right pretty close to us. And we had a country schoolhouse where we had services, and we hired a Baptist preacher to help us on the farm while the guys were in the service. So that's how that we were tied in there for a while. Later on, then I started attending the Christian church along with Vera, and then we were probably baptized, maybe it was a year, would have been.
Wanda was a baby.
It was probably maybe a year or so after we'd gotten started there, but it was a good deal. But then we got pretty well involved in the church, and I told the preacher he wanted me to become a preacher, and I said, well, I'll decide by the time I'm 30. We were in business, in the appliance business at that time, and so when I was about 30 years of age, that I went down to the preacher and I said, well, I don't really feel called. And he said, well, why don't you go to Bible college, and if the Lord wants you there, you'll be okie doke, and if not, he'll indicate to you that you probably shouldn't be there. But anyhow, we sold. We had a 5-plex at that time. I had a business, and I had another 4-plex at that time, and we sold them within just a matter of days. And so then we went to Nebraska Christian College in Norfolk, Nebraska, and my wife worked at the telephone office, and we were there 4 years, and then we ministered 4 years in Sioux City after I graduated. I ministered on the south end of Norfolk, Nebraska, for about 2 or 3 years, even while I was going to college. It was a little church. And
what was that name?
Home Union Chapel was the name of it. And then we went to Sioux City for 4 years, and we built an educational building there, and then we went from there down to Unionville, Missouri, spent 15 and a half years there. Then we started a church in Columbia, Missouri, and we were here probably till 89, and then...
What was the name of that church?
Blue Ridge Christian Church. And then I was hired on at Nebraska Christian College as being the director of development to raise money for the college. And I was with them until 96, was I? It was about 7 or 8 years that I worked for them. And then I was in business to start with, and then went in ministry, and now I'm back in business, in the apartment business, and I've liked all aspects of everything I've done. So it's worked out good.
What about you and your faith? When you were having all those difficulties with your health, what were you, did you find comfort in God or anything, or were you just...
Well, I have to go back to when I was younger, I used to drive the tractor for all the neighbors around there, and they'd give me some money. And one night I came home, and I started with this bad fever. I was very, very ill. They called the farm doctor that they had, and he came out, and he said, well, we need to check you because you have a bad infection of the kidneys. And so I was very, very ill, and I had to sit in the dining room, and that's where I slept, and he wouldn't let me. One day he said, don't touch your feet to the floor. You have to stay in bed constantly. And so I did that, and I wondered, what was wrong with me, why that I just had a bad headaches, just felt sick. And one day he came driving into our driveway, and he came running to the house, and he said, I just got this new medicine. It's called the sulfa drug, and he said, I haven't read on it too much, but they're calling it the miracle drug. And he said, would you give me permission to try this on Vera and see what reaction we get? And so they did, and in just a matter of 2 days, I was just fine. I was well again. And you're talking about my faith. I always had gone to Sunday school. My folks always said take me to Sunday school.
And what church did you go to?
The Oakdale Evangelical Free Church. And one night I was in my bedroom, and I was probably about 8 years old, something like that anyway. And the moon was really bright. I looked outside, and I couldn't seem to sleep. And I just like I was speaking to the Lord. And I said, if you can make me totally well again, I will always want to serve you. And of course, I was so young, I don't know if I was really serious with what I had said. But very shortly after that, every pain I had in my body and everything was fine. And from then on, I just wanted to learn more and more and more about God and Jesus. And I did my own studies at home, and I became a lot more involved. I got into the church choir. Of course, this was a country church, so for the folks to take me to church, it was a 20-mile drive. So they had to give up a lot of things that they would have liked to have done too. So, but that's when my life turned around, was having that experience of being ill, and I didn't know whether I would ever get well again.
So, your families, did they believe in Christ at all?
Mine really, my mother did. But most of the other, well, I had some brothers that were interested when we were growing up, but it was pretty much, Vera and I were kind of plowing our own furrow, it seemed like, because everybody was going to the service, or otherwise that they were getting married and they were leaving the home, but we really didn't become very interested until after we got married. And well, even I guess maybe the wedding and things like this, we got the chance to talk to some preachers, and it made a difference. So that's when it really started, probably when we got married. That it was the best.